Hey there, welcome back to Scribbles and Ink Stains. My name is Mary and I am pre-filming day 2 of the Diamond Inkvent calendar. So I have to interrupt this editing session with a little bit of a story time. It is currently December 5th, Monday. I'm home from school because we had, in my little community, I live in a sleepy resort town in North Carolina. We're known for golf and the arts, and on Saturday, we had some crazy people attack multiple electrical substations in my county, and so we've been without power. We are super lucky. It is back on today, and I am really scrambling. I guess what I'll do is just piece together some footage with days 2 through 5. Today is already day 5 of my Inkvent. Instead of trying to release old footage, what I'm going to do is just release what I've opened so far, give you just an overview because, yeah, I have a lot of footage that will end up in the trash because it is just not a surprise anymore, but I'm okay with that. Let's see where we are. I will pull out all of my samples and share with you some long form writing. I feel like there's still value in that. So, and I had fun on, honestly, the spirit of an advent calendar, that idea of opening a little door and getting a little treat every day until Christmas is super inspiring to me. Let's see, let's put these in order. This is day 1, day 2, day 3, 4, and 5. So this is where we are currently. And yeah, I guess this will just be an overview video. I do have a lot to share. I have chromatography strips for everything, long writing samples, and swatches on Tomoe River paper and on Midori paper. The other thing that happened, because I've been so discombobulated with this attack on our power grid and all the weirdness that implies, is I accidentally opened day 6 for day 5. So I'm not going to share with you anything in my weeks because I sort of had to swap those two inks, and I just don't want to spoil anything for you for tomorrow, even though I clearly have spoiled it for myself. All right, so let's do this. Let's look first at my swatch cards. So day 1 is this beautiful, bright Mediterranean teal called Bliss, and I'm super happy with this. It's a very wet ink. It is one that is unlike any other blue in my system. If you watch my last video, you'll know that already. Day 2 was a shimmer ink, Yule log. I love the name. I love the artwork that I see others creating with this ink, but honestly, brown with copper shimmer is just not interesting to me. So this, of the 5 that honestly, of the 6 that I've opened so far, this would be my least favorite. But let's go ahead and look at what that might look like on paper. So this is the chromatography, which moves through a range of yellowy pinks up through pink, green, and teal. I loaded it in my Pelikan Suveron M405 with a medium nib. These are my cotton swab swatches, and you can see that that copper does come through not only on the inky wet swatches, but also on the writing. The separation is probably clearer to my eye anyway on the Midori paper, and the sheen is, by separation, I guess what I mean is the darker darks as they pool and separate are higher contrast on the Midori paper in the droplets, in the long swab, and in the really wet swab. Pretty ink. It's just not one that I'll gravitate toward, probably. I don't know though. The shimmer might set it apart for me from some of my browns. I would like to swatch all of my brown inks together once I'm done with this advent calendar. I've got several coffee family inks, and I will probably always have one brown inked at any given time. The day 3 Solar Storm is a Chameleon ink, and this one was probably my favorite. Here is the coloring Swatch, and this one is a deep purple base with a brownish sheen and a, I would say, peacock green or champagne gold shimmer. This is absolutely gorgeous. There are the swatches on the Midori paper up at the top, and it reads a little more bluish purple, less interesting on the Midori paper. You can see more of the Chameleon effect on the Tomoe River paper. And then as I wash it out on the Tomoe River paper with a water brush, you see how that purpley base really goes ultramarine when it meets with water. What an amazing variety between nibs and papers you get just with that one Chameleon ink. Well, this is one of my 3 favorites so far. Day 4 was Spruce, and this is a scented ink. It is a gorgeous scent. To my nose, the Spruce really resembles this thyme candle in Fraser Fir, which is one of my favorite holiday candle scents. As you can see, I'm a little bit obsessed with home fragrances as well. I do have the candle. The candle, I have to be totally frank with you, is a terrible burner. As you can see, it never fully pools out. I end up having to put foil along the rim or put it in a fairly specific close-fitting hurricane cover for it to pull out edge to edge, and that's really annoying. If you burn this without it pulling out, as you can see, I had to leave the house here and I've got a little bit of a tunnel started. This will follow that tunnel all the way down. So from this point, I'll have to cut out that wax or use some tin foil to get a full pool across. And that just means that you're wasting wax. I do have it in a wax melt, which I can use in my classroom, and I have it in this Pura device, which is basically a plug-in diffuser that you can run with an app on your smartphone. You can set the schedule to diffuse the aromatic oils according to whatever schedule you like. And I have one of these devices in my studio here, and then one of these devices out in the family room, which is where our Christmas tree will be once we put it up. So I'll probably give you a tour of that once that happens. But we've had no power for a couple days, and our community is still, we have something like 30,000 people without power. Anyway, this is a gorgeous ink. Let me show you the samples. This is, they call it scented, but I see a burgundy sheen on that ink. That makes it a perfect holiday ink for me. At the bottom of the Tomoe River paper, you can see my chromatography strip. Super interesting on this one. I've used a water brush to create a little plant there on the lower left. When you wash this out, you get more of a bright, bright teal, but clearly in the writing, you get a deep forest green with a deep burgundy red sheen. No shimmer. This one, they don't call it a sheening ink, but certainly this is sheening on both of those papers. I'll try to get some of that in the light. Love this one. Great Christmas ink and a perfect lead up to day 5. So let's grab day 5. This one I have loaded into my Pelican M405. Let me slow down. This is a candy apple red with a green sheen and a copperish gold, burnished gold shimmer. So again, it brings that holiday trifecta together. This is the chromatography. I love it so much. Let me show you some longer form writing samples though, where I believe if it were between these 2 inks, I feel like I prefer Spruce in a pen over Spiced Apple, but I'll let you judge for yourself. I'm going to be a little bit redundant and go all the way back to day 1. Writing sample. Day 2, Yule log on the left. Day 3 is Solar Storm. This one I have to be careful because again, I've accidentally opened day 6, which is over here. Day 4 is really feathery on this Tomoe River paper. Now this is the Cafe Note by nanamipaper.com. I did not have that feathery problem on my Tomoe River paper from Hobonichi. So unsure about that, but super clear feathering on this paper. Now, in fairness to the ink, I was really having to slow down to practice my cursive handwriting, which is abysmal. I'm okay with that. It is what it is. Yeah, it seems to still be a little feathery on the print as well. And this is the final sample. Really wonky handwriting, but this gives you an idea of how much of that shimmer you can expect to see flowing out of a fairly wet medium nib. This one I feel like started out really shimmery up here at the top, but then by the time we reach the end of the page, most of that shimmer is gone. That may be just the fact that this is not a broad nib. This may be better off in like a TWSBI broad. I just happen to have ordered the new color of TWSBI Swipe from Goulet, so that will be coming in a broad, and I'll be able to try that out in a fresh broad nib. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. I will be back on track tomorrow. I'll make sure that my thumbnails for these Inkvent releases don't contain any spoilers, and that way it's up to you whether you feel like you want to click through on the day that I release them. But I am really, really happy with all of these inks. Well, that just about wraps up days 1 through 5. Let me know in the comments below if you're doing the Diamine Inkvent. I would love to follow you on your reviews. I'm really curious what your favorite inks are, how you're handling the shimmers and the chameleons, what pens you're loading, what your thoughts are for ink flow and for cleaning the pens and whatnot. I haven't had any trouble with cleaning out between swatching my writing samples for either the Very Wet Benu Euphoria nib in medium or my Pelikan 405 in medium. But I'm really curious to see these 4 in a broad nib, and actually curious to see this one in an extra fine. So let me know if you've got some pen swatches going on. I would love to check them out, and I will catch you in my next video. Ciao!